Welcome back to From the Bookshelf for another weekly download. Before we get started, don't forget to like and comment on this video, let me know what you think, and subscribe to the channel so that you can get notified for every new video that comes up for the weekly download, as well as our book club videos during the week. So let's get started. So this week, the majority of my books aren't here physically because I had to take them back to the library because they were literally due on the day I'm filming. So I'll be putting the images in for you on those. Let's get started. Our first book is called True Believer by Jack Carr. He is a former Navy SEAL, and this is a fictional series that he's writing about a former SEAL who is put into a position where the government kills his family and his teammates, and he's out to seek revenge on the people who killed those he cares about. They're amazing books. It's exciting, action-packed, a really good read, and I definitely recommend it. I gave it an 8 out of 10, and I think it's good for anybody who likes to read mystery, action, and kind of military vibe. And then we have Deadly by Shephard. It is part of the Pretty Little Liars series. It's one of the later books in the series. I believe it's the third before the last one, so I'm almost done with this series. I've been reading it for a very long time. I gave this one a 6 out of 10. The series is good, and I love the series as a whole. This one wasn't necessarily my favorite. I felt like it was a little overdone. In this one, our group of friends, the liars, are arrested for crimes that A has committed, and I don't know, I just didn't quite like the plot line of this particular book the best. But if you're reading the series, then it's a definite read, because you can't read the rest of them without reading this one first. And then we have an audiobook that I listened to this week. It is Circus of the Damned by Laurell K. Hamilton. This is part of the Anita Blake series, which I started listening to, and I've read previously. I gave the book a 9 out of 10. This is one of my more favorite books in the series. In it, we see a lot of both vampires and shapeshifters, mostly werewolves in this one. And I really like that. It's kind of the first one where it focuses a lot more on shapeshifters as opposed to just vampires. So there is that. We also get to meet Richard for the first time, and I like him much more at this point in the series. I mean, further on, you know, give it some 20 books and he's a little bit different. But this is a really good book. It's a good series. Definite read for anyone who likes supernatural, mystery, suspense, anything like that. The audio was done by Kimberly, Alexis, just like the previous ones. I give her a 7 out of 10. She's a good read. She's a good listen, but she's not necessarily my favorite, but she's definitely one that will hold your interest as opposed to some others that some other narrators that I've listened to. So definite read. Go give it a listen or a read. And then we have another audiobook. This one is Kissing Coffins by Schribe. This is the second book in the Vampire Kisses series that I listened to the first one a week or so ago. This one's about the same. It's a little more cheesy than I gave it credit before. Like when I read it back when I was in high school or just out of high school, I liked it a lot more than I do now. However, it's still good. It's fun. It's entertaining. It definitely plays up on the whole teen vampire tropes, and I think that's one of its likability. That's one of the things that's the kind of its charm. It plays up on those and uses them a lot, and I think that's why they're popular and people like them. If you're a teenager, or you have teenagers or preteens, then it's a good read to go to. I gave the book a 6 out of 10 just because it's not quite as good as I remember it. And the narrator, Devon Sorvari. I gave her a 7 out of 10. She does a really good job reading it, and does well with the voices and all of that. So if you're into teen vampire novels that play up on the cheese factor, then definitely give these a chance. Next we have Never Go Back by Lee Child. This is part of the Jack Reacher series. This is a good book. I love this series. This series, it's mystery, suspense. It's also got a bit of the military feel to it, because the main character, Jack Reacher, is a former military policeman, and now that he's retired from the military, he just kind of wanders around America getting himself into trouble. Constantly getting himself into trouble. And this one's really good. This book is actually the book that the second Jack Reacher movie that Tom Cruise was in was based on. There's huge differences in it. They definitely put a lot more suspense into it, and all of that. Not that that's bad. I really liked the movies, but the book is a lot different. So if you've watched the movie, then it's almost like a different read while reading this book. I gave the book a 7 out of 10. I love the Jack Reacher series, and I think it's a must read for anybody that likes mystery and suspense and all of that. So definitely give this a look. And then the next book we have is The Europeans by Orlando Figs. This is another one of those nonfiction books that I've been reading. And this one is about European culture, and it follows 3 people from the 1800s. One of them is an opera singer. The second is her husband, who manages her career and all of that. And the third one is Russian novelist Ivan Turgenev, who lived in Paris and Germany and a lot of around Europe for a lot of his life, kind of following the opera singer that's also part of this book around and all of that. I'm not really explaining it well, but if you're interested in history and European culture and different aspects like that, it's a really good book, and I've been enjoying reading his books because he's been the author of a lot of these nonfiction ones that I've been reading lately. I gave the book a 6 out of 10, mostly because it's just a little harder to read nonfiction for myself. However, if you like nonfiction, then this is a definite book that you should look into, especially if you like that era and that area as to where they're at and all of that. So go ahead and check that one out. It's definitely a good one. Then we have another audiobook. This one is Sabriel by Garth Nix. I love Garth Nix. He is an amazing writer. I've read this entire series and I decided to listen to it. I mainly decided to listen to it not just because I love the book, but because it was narrated by Tim Curry. And I love Tim Curry. He's amazing. When he was in the Rocky Horror Picture Show, and he also plays the original Pennywise in the It miniseries. So he's amazing. So I'm not surprised that he did a phenomenal job reading it, because he's Tim Curry. Like, how could he not do amazing? So I gave the book a 9 out of 10. I love the book. It's a huge world and universe. It encompasses it. And at times it's a little hard to get into, just because it's the first book in the Old Kingdom series, and it's setting up this like huge universe and magical system and all of that. So definitely don't pass this up. It's a really good read, and it's a really good book. And I gave the narration a 10 out of 10 because Tim Curry truly is a performer in every aspect of his life, even with audiobooks. So read it or listen to it, just get it and listen and read, because it's definitely one that you don't want to miss out on. So then we have another graphic novel. This one is Tokyo Ghoul. It's the spin-off of the original Tokyo Ghoul series. It's volume 15, and it's almost done. I've read almost 30 of these books. There was, I believe, 16 in the first series, and then I think there's 16 also in this one, so I have read 30 of them. but they are really good. It's a great story. If you are familiar with Tokyo Ghoul, it's like ghouls and humans kind of living together and fighting each other. But in this one, we see them kind of teaming up to destroy this huge monster that's taken over Tokyo. And it's really good. I gave this one a 7 out of 10. It's kind of like winding down in the series, and lots of things are happening, and it's like non-stop start to finish, and it was really good. It was great. It was really great images with the illustrator. So go ahead and check that out. But if you do want to read this one, you have to start at the beginning, and by that I mean the original Tokyo Ghoul series, because it's very interconnected. So our last book is Reaper series by Nicholas Irving. This is the second book in the series. It's called Threat Zero. I gave this book a 7 out of 10. It's a good book. He's a former Army Ranger, and this is a fictional series about an Army Ranger who has lots of things going on. In this particular book, I didn't quite like as much as the first one, just because like it starts off with somebody dying in it that kind of like had this huge build up and storyline in the first book, and then all of a sudden they're gone. And I didn't quite like that so much. However, the story itself is really good. He's an amazing writer, and I love his writing. And I definitely recommend you reading his books, whether it's his memoir or it's this series. There's one more book in this series, and I plan on reading that soon, so I will let you know how that one is. So that's it for this week and this weekly download. Thanks again for stopping in and listening to what I have to say and what I've been reading. So if I've inspired you to read anything, go ahead and post it. And don't forget to use the hashtag #OffTheBookshelf so I can see what you've all been reading. Thanks again, and I'll see you next week.